let's move from fire to water, and it does focus on Johannesburg. Still, the Rahima Musa Mother and Children Hospital in Coronationville and Bolesong Hospital in Sakane have made workaround plans to access water. Both hospitals have not had water from their municipalities for quite a long time, as both Ekurhuleni and the city of Joburg facing a number of water challenges. Our reporter Heidi Giokos has been at both hospitals today, and she joins us now. So Heidi, good evening. Before we get on to the hospitals, let's talk about what's happening at Zekabos with this power failure that's now going to cause big outages. What do you know?
Yes, so we were told by Joburg Water, because Rand Water has not necessarily responded to our request to interview them since last week, Friday, actually. And it has to do with the storm. Apparently, their water treatment plant was severely affected by the storm. They've had a number of power trips.
This was a storm overnight in Johannesburg,
yes,
where, I mean,
crazy.
we were chatting about it on our group. There was intense wind. Some areas had a lot of damage as well. Yes,
so it seems as though the water treatment plant was also affected by this, and it has affected the tripping of this water waste plant. So that directly impacts what can be pumped from Rand Water to Joburg Water into these reservoirs. There are a number of areas, Sally, that have been severely affected by the issue around pumping from Rand Water to Joburg Water reservoirs. We do know that so far 8 reservoirs are critically low, 2 are completely empty. And these are, of course, impacting hospitals, just everyday life. People are struggling without water. And I think what's alarming, and I tried my very best to get a proper response from Joburg Water about why this constantly happens. And we were told today that it's got to do with the fact that it is spring, there's more of a demand for water, just like there is for electricity in winter. But the question is, this happens every year. It's not the first time we have spring or summer.
And in fact, this happened last year, and eventually the Minister of Water had to give the go-ahead for Rand Water, I think, to draw more water from the Vaal River system.
Yes.
One wonders why this isn't anticipated this year.
Exactly, because it's not going to be, it's not the first time we've had spring or summer, and it's not going to be the last time that we have spring or summer. So that was the question, to say, but if you know this happens every single year, why don't you firstly tell residents, please be a little bit extra cautious?
Look, to be fair, they're doing that, but I'm not sure that we're listening.
Yes. Exactly, but also you need to find an alternative way to sort this out, Sally, because you can't have hospitals finding their own solutions to water that should be supplied by the municipality, that should be supplied by Joburg Water. But Joburg Water has said that they are trying their very best to sort this out, but they are struggling. There are many infrastructure challenges, there are leaks, there are burst pipes, there's a lot going on, and they're trying their very best to catch up. But I don't know if that's good enough, because Joburg Water should be, especially for hospitals, be able to at least supply water to critical areas like hospitals. But let's listen to what Joburg Water had to say about this crisis clearly.
What has happened here is that we are in the spring season. A few weeks ago, we've realized that the incoming water supply into our reservoir systems was not consistent. We further investigated, and we realized that this is due to the increase in demand. Springtime and summertime is our peak season. The reservoirs draw a lot of water. People consume a lot of water through a whole lot of activities. As a result, with the high demand created on the system, Rand Water is struggling to keep their reservoirs full. So meaning that they are pumping at normal capacity most of the time, but in spite of the normal pumping capacity, the reservoirs on their side are struggling to reach full capacity. Now that has a ripple effect on our reservoirs and systems in Joburg, because we rely on potable water directly from Rand Water.
Okay, so talk to me about the workaround that Gauteng Health has come up with, which is good news for the hospitals.
Definitely, and kudos to Gauteng Health Facilities in Joburg, Sally, because they have decided to take matters into their own hands. They shouldn't have to do this. They should be able to depend on Joburg Water, because ultimately that's where we get our water from. But they have decided to bring in tankers, either from the municipality, which often doesn't happen, or they contract tankers out, and the tankers come to the various hospitals, Helen Joseph, Rahima Musa, Polosong Hospital in Sakane, and they actually connect the water tanker to the pipes, fill up the reservoir then fills up the hospital reservoir, and then they are able to get full access to water in the hospital. So ablution facilities are working, taps are running, they don't have any issue when it comes to full water supply, because can you imagine a water tanker trying to take water to a hospital in buckets? It's practically impossible for that to happen. So this is why hospitals and the Gauteng Health Department have decided to take it upon themselves to do this. And I try to push the question to Gauteng Health to say, but surely this means that Joburg Water is failing you if you have to find alternative measures, especially if you have to get contractors out, because that's an additional cost. But they don't have time to wait for Joburg Water. And they've also made it very clear, now pleading with Joburg Water to sort out their house, because they're saying the current contingency plans put in place by Gauteng Health Facilities is unsustainable and it cannot last forever. They actually need the municipality and Joburg Water to give them the water, because this plan is just not going to last forever. Let's listen to what Gauteng Health had to say about that.
Already at Helen Joseph, we have identified a site where we want to actually construct a 1 mega, which is a reservoir that will give us 1 million additional liters. You've already seen earlier on, you were at Polosong, you saw the construction that is currently underway of an additional site, the reservoir that's going to give us about 500,000 liters. It should be online come end of October.
All right, so Heidi, let's go back to the big picture now, and what you were telling us earlier about the Zeikobos water treatment plant, that there's been a big trip there because of the impact of last night's storm. How long is that going to affect the system? Are there any times on when it's going to be fixed, how long it's going to impact the system for?
I don't think it's going to be any time soon, Sally, and it would be great if we could get Rand Water on to explain this further, to actually give us time frames. But it seems like it is going to take some time, especially because they have indicated that the damage was quite severe from the storm, and this is why they had to go into an emergency meeting this morning at 9 o'clock to try and figure out what they are going to do. Because already Joburg Water sent out a statement this morning to explain how many reservoirs are critically low. Most of them are critically low. Some are completely empty. And remember, if I'm not mistaken, Rand Water supplies this water to
Joburg
Water through the reservoirs. So if there's a problem with filling up these reservoirs because of trips that keep happening, that means it's going to take some time. And I do see on some groups that, for example, water is being cut off in the south, also in Bromhof, Randburg side. So a number of areas just do not have water, and I just don't know how long this is going to last. It's quite scary.
So we've got a situation where at least there's a workaround for the hospitals around this problem that's been here for a couple of weeks now. But now we've got this trip at Zeikobos because of the storm last night, so things could actually get worse in certain areas. So be warned, everybody, the picture is not looking good regarding Joburg's water supply. Thank you very much for bringing us up to speed. That's our reporter, Heidi Giokos. Now to the story. And the Department of Correctional Services has dismissed media reports